You ready?
As soon as you are, sir.
Okay. Just raise your hand for me.
Okay.
All right, and I,
I,
Hillary Daniels, a citizen of the state of Georgia and being an employee of Lincoln County and a recipient of public funds for service rendered as such employee, do hereby solemnly swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Georgia. I do further solemnly swear that I will truly and faithfully discharge the duties required of me by law as a member of the Board of Education of Lincoln County to the best of my ability. I do further swear that I am not the holder of any, excuse me, of any unaccounted for public money due this state or any political subdivision or authority thereof. I am not the holder of any office or trust under the government of the United States, nor of either several states, nor either foreign states, that I am otherwise qualified to hold said office according to the constitutional laws of the state of Georgia, and that will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, and that I have met the residency requirement of this office. So help you God. All right. Thank you.
I'd like to call this January meeting to order. I want to thank all of y'all for being here. And Mr. Michael Williams is going to have prayer and lead us in the pledge.
All right, bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we are so gracious and thankful that we'll be able to come together tonight. Thank you that we haven't had any reports of major damage to schools and buildings, that we've been able to get through this storm. Even though pray for those who are out power still. But we're thankful again that we have come together tonight. We thank you for the installation of our new board member, Ms. Hillary Daniel, and continue to just all these board members, give them knowledge and wisdom and your spirit to guide them in the decisions that they make for the betterment of this school system, this community, and the students. And we just continue to bless this meeting tonight. In your name, Jesus Christ, I pray, and we pray together. Amen. So we'll stand. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first thing I'd like to do tonight is congratulate Miss Hillary Daniel and welcome her to the school board. She was willing to serve for at least a year that we know of. And so we thank you for doing that. And let's everybody give her a round of applause. We appreciate it. The first item we have is our consent items. It consists of the agenda and the minutes, and it also consists of 4 field trips, all from the band, one in January, 2 in February, and 1 in March. So anybody have any questions about the consent items? If not, I'll accept the motion to accept them.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Mongery, second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous? Thank you. No public participation?
No, sir.
All right, the next is our financials. Mr. Dillon.
Good evening and welcome, Ms. Daniel. This is probably the worst part of the meeting. For this month, we have November's financials. As you can see, we still did not collect much ad valorem in November. That all changed in December. We collected roughly 70% of our ad valorem taxes in December. So that percent will jump from 9.45 to right at 80% next month. Which leads into the Georgia Fund 1. What do you do when you collect 70% of your revenue in 1 month? This is, well, you can go back, I'm sorry. We'll go through all the financials first. So our expenses are still on par, which is good. Since we had to spend so much early in the year for administrative costs and all the subscriptions and stuff that we buy, so we're on budget and we should finish under budget on expenses. As our fund equity, our fund equity was the lowest this month. This is when we cashed in one of our CDs, but we got it all back in December. Go to the, well, just keep going, I'm sorry, I think there's a couple more.
still have SPOS to look at.
Yes.
There you go.
So our SPOS is still on par with the prior year, which leads me to believe we will be ahead of the total 5 million for 5 years. As you can see there, through 6 months, we're already over $500,000. That's something to keep in mind for next year, as we may have to put that back on the ballot to adjust. And we can go to the next page. For here, we have 930K in our SPOS account and another 770 in our bond account, and our next payment is due April 1st. It's 1.7 million, so we're only 20 grand off of having all of that in December. So with 3 more months, we'll cover that payment with these. Okay, so the board is asked to present what our SPOS account, or as you know, the state calls it ELOS, the education fund, what would it look like differently if we pulled it out of our savings, our local savings, and moved it into this? So I did the prior 6 months so we know what they paid. And you can see from June and November, they paid over 5% each month, whereas we're getting 0.8% currently. And I mean, that's an annual difference of almost 35K. Now, is that worth moving? I still think so, but the bigger difference is the funds we just collected on in December. We raised 3.3 million. Yes, yeah, keep on. We raised 3.3 million in ad valorem tax, and we're just sitting on it. So this is where I mentioned before, putting up, for this example, 2.5 million. And I just did a rough estimate of 5.25% of what it would pay, and over 6 months we would bring in 50 grand, and that's pulling from it as well. That, as you can see, the withdrawals, that's pulling 1.25 out of it. So I think the numbers speak for themselves on that point. So,
Did you say the earnings right now 0.8%?
and our SPOS money market, or I think it's a money market account.
It is, correct.
Okay.
And then the CD is earning the current one.
Current one is earning 4.5, but you can't touch it, is the only thing there. And this, I mean, with us raising the 3.3, we could also reinvest in the other CD for another $500,000 back in our local bank, and still have money to.
And there's no penalty to pull this out.
No penalty.
Get it.
So it's
Next day or same day? or-
next day,
You can pull out any amount.
overnight. Everyone we talked to said that, I mean, this is why they use it for their SPOS, because it goes in and then they send it right back out whenever they have a bond payment or anything.
But it's not FDIC insured.
It is not, but the state will cover it for our audit. So it is not, it's
Okay.
not as safe as FDIC, but the state is backing you. They're verifying it through signature for our audit purpose, and that it's good enough for our audit.
If it goes down, a lot of people gonna be in trouble.
Most of the state, most
Yeah.
of your local governments and local school systems.
Yeah. We just don't want that, like the guy in New York, what's his name? Bernie Madoff or whatever, we don't want nothing like that.
I mean,
Yeah.
So this Georgia Fund 1 is not limited to school systems?
no, the local governments can get in as well.
Okay.
All right, that's I was thinking that was a great idea.
Was it Henry County that put 200 million in it?
Yes, sir.
They trusted it with 200 million.
What do you say was in there? $22 billion in reserves, is that right, or is that?
I think their budget was 21 or 22 billion, but they had 20% of that in reserves, so a little over 5 billion in reserves that they're sitting on. So now I guess they're paying interest out of that money. That's all they're using it for. And it's
Other
been there.
cities do that.
It's been there since 2021. They've had their
Major
surplus.
jump from what we're drawing now.
Well, and understand that all of our funds are currently in local banks. And to me, that's the only drawback I can see of this, is you're going to reduce some of the monies that are in our local banks. Now, it is going to gain interest for us in a big way, which is going to give us additional dollars. But to me, that's the only drawback I can see. And I'm not trying to find a drawback. I'm trying to be honest with the board so they make an educated vote. But the whole reason we've brought this to you is we need your approval if you do want to do this.
But it's locked down in local banks. You can't get it the next day.
I totally agree that there is a difference, yes, sir, but I'm trying to help.
You get penalized for early withdrawal.
You would with a CD.
This
but
is a
I
CD.
mean,
If we put it in a
Not the
CD, we
splash.
lose, I think, a month penalty, and then obviously the rest of the interest from whenever you pull it.
So
If we pulled it in the fourth month, we would only collect, 3 months of interest, and we would lose the rest.
You could ask the local banks if they want to match this program. That way they'd have the opportunity.
that's what I think.
That was my
So they
question.
can't say we didn't have an opportunity.
Okay.
Uh, But there's also, what is the time frame when the maturity on that CD we have? We'll still have one with the bank.
We do have one.
It's not
yes, sir.
like we're gonna take all the money out of the bank.
Correct.
Correct, and we have the money to replace the CD we cashed in October and November, if that's a move y'all want to make as well.
We just wanted to present options and educate you on the options so that we made the decision based on all the information. Because I don't want you to find out later, well, we didn't know that. That's not fair to y'all to make an educated vote. So that's why we're discussing it the way we are.
Yes, sir.
Who's the money market account with? You know?
SPLOST and the bond, I think, are both with F&M. Yes, SPLOST, bond, and we run a payroll account through them. And then our current CD is with them. And then everything else is Farmer State.
I mean, I see us keeping some money with the local banks for loyalty because of, with them, all that they've done for us. But that's a big difference.
It is.
That's a big difference.
It's hard to ignore.
And I'm with Jim. I mean, hey, you can throw it out there at them and say, this is what
It is.
So do you know what
This is what we're
the
looking
last
at.
6 month average is? What the percentage yield?
That
Is
was
it at 5.25?
When you scroll back, I just put in a number at 5.25,
Yeah, I
but
think
that is what they paid the last
Okay.
6 months. 5.12, 5.21, that was their yield each month.
Does anyone have an objection to sharing this with the bank? It's like, give me a proposal. Show them what the Georgia Fund's doing.
And if they got close.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, if the bank got close and we was protected by FDIC,
But
is
they
that?
can't penalize you for drawing it out early. They
Well,
need
that's
to
right.
Make sure
It'd
about that.
basically be like a high yield money market, you can
That's
so
right.
many
You couldn't do a
withdrawals from
CD
a-
or nothing like
Right.
that. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the CD's locked. You're done with that one. Excuse me.
It's hard to compare a $3,000 earnings versus 20 for the same monies.
No question.
Especially when we just raise taxes.
It's true.
That was my whole goal, was looking for a way to, maybe save a job somewhere.
Yeah.
In case we face this problem again with the tax increase.
I mean, what you're looking at there, that's $100,000 a year. And you said it's 50 in 6 months?
You done good, Dylan. Yeah. I'm finishing on that though.
So tell him what to do. Yeah.
I'm
go
not,
put-
yeah. Chairman.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem, giving it to the bank.
So share with local banks and then.
Share it with both banks and say, hey, this is what we're looking at. And share it with them, that it's not, be straight up with them. It's not FDIC protected, but it is protected by the state, and see what they tell you. I mean, so they may say they can't touch it, sorry. They may say, hey, let me see, can I get close?
I may see if they do any 6-month CDs that we could start in the next week. If they did 4.5% on those that I don't feel like we would hit, it may be worth doing, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I think it's gonna be hard for them to hit it, but I think we should give them a chance.
Well, that's the thing. You're not leaving them out completely. You're saying, hey, help us here. Is there anything you can do here? If we can't, then that's like you raise taxes on everybody. There's an opportunity for us to make $100,000 a year off of that. It's hard to turn down.
right, thank y'all.
Thank you. Any other questions for him?
Sorry, Mr. Daniel.
Yeah, I don't think there's much about that.
The next thing is a soccer proposal. Do y'all want to make them wait till after executive session?
Hey, longer I'm here, less longer I'm here.
All right, go ahead.
Are you gentlemen ready?
Yeah,
Now, all of the board members have seen what's up here, so as you guys want to expand on this or give them an idea where this came from, that would be wonderful, but the community is the one that doesn't know anything about this.
I didn't know if y'all wanted another copy after my 8-year-old drew on it. But I know you have that one. If y'all rather want it
It's a little more blown up than I can see it.
Might be easier to read.
It's a little more blown up, so.
My 8-year-old did the guest at home, just in case you want to.
Great.
All right, well, we first wanted to thank y'all for even allowing us to come up and speak to you about this. As you know, I've been here now 5 years, and this is my 5th season as a soccer coach. Coach Hayslip's been here
3
in the
years,
past.
and this is my 3rd year as a soccer coach.
As I've been here, we've noticed some things that, and we first want to thank, y'all have helped improve our stadium already. I mean, we've had help with the scoreboard being redone. We've had it pressure washed. We've had sound system put in. We've had a lot of things that have been done. Flagpole. I mean, things that were needed. And this is just what we think is like the next step that could really help not just our program, but our school. So the main reason where this came from, so game days. As the coach for 5 years, our goal has been like when we get dressed, we have to then sit in the green room and you wait for the game. Well, when it rains, baseball gets the green room, so we move to the gym. Well, when the gym is being used by basketball, we then move to a hallway. So, you got a huge game coming up, you're about to play for a chance for a playoff spot, and you're sitting for an hour in the hallway. It makes them sometimes go, well, dang, I wish I had somewhere I could go. What we're looking for is, as you can see on it, is you walk into Howard Ellis Stadium, it would be towards your right if you're facing the field. It would be near where the starting line is. You would go to that corner, and we have met with
Jeff Miller?
Mr. Miller.
Jeff Miller.
Mr. Miller and Mr. Jamie joined us just to see if it would even be plausible to do, and they pulled out all the records to see if there was water. Could you do plumbing? Could you even run electrical there? And from everything we saw, that was the best location for a chance to even have a locker room. And the reason why we want this is our programs are growing. We have out there right now, I have 34 girls trying out for soccer, and he has almost 25 boys.
26.
26. I mean, it's the most numbers we've ever had. It's our most growing sport that we have. Because I remember taking over this program 5 years ago and having 18 girls and 16 boys. So we've had a lot of success. We're starting to grow. We're getting more and more people interested. And we're just trying to find a place where they can take pride and say, hey, this is ours. That we have a place where we can store our equipment, a place that we can go at halftime, a place that we can go for practice. I mean, right now our answer for girls who don't drive and boys that don't drive with their book bags and their phones and everything is you put it beside the bench. Well, it rains a lot in February. So a lot of their schoolwork and a lot of their electronics get soaked. Well, if you leave it in the green room, now we're really far away. There's no way to keep eyes on it. This would give us a place you can lock it, and there's no worry about anybody getting in but us. We looked at and we talked about it, and there would be a separation. Obviously, there would be no connector to a boys or girls side. There'd be no door that goes in between them because we don't want any chance of anything happening. I mean, obviously, that would defeat the purpose of having it. But we just think it'd be something that we could call our own, and we think it would also show that, man, y'all are growing, doing well. Here's a reward, kind of like we're doing a good job.
We've tried to also help the situation with rain, cold, all the things. We purchased it's like a tent cover. It was, a lot of money, and it only lasts so long, so every couple of years we're having to rebuy that. I know that doesn't touch the funds that would be necessary for a locker room, but obviously just next steps, we just think this would be an outstanding idea, project, and something just great for the community as well.
If y'all have any questions, anything that we can help you or anything like that.
One of the things that would be necessary in trying to design this is to involve an architect, because students would be in there and it's on a school campus, so it would require that. And so that needs to be part of the conversation as we look at cost, is that an architect would have to approve this, and we would use Buckley, who is what we use for all of them, so.
Correct, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that would be next steps forward, if you contact him and
Well,
just see.
if we got approval,
Right.
then we would talk to Buckley and have him come up and give him an idea where we want it, what we want, and that's gonna be another question. Are you thinking restrooms, showers,
Two
those kind of
restrooms, yes, sir,
things,
no
or are
showers.
you thinking just a box? I know you want more in the box, I'm
Right.
trying to help you save all of
Yeah,
that.
we have, so it's in the middle, it'd be a 10-foot, it would span the total distance of the room, hence there's no doors in the middle. You'd have a girls' restroom, that's a 5x10, a boys' restroom, that's a 5x10. The girls' restroom would have 2 stalls, a sink or 2. The boys' stall, urinal, sink, just very basic. Flooring would be just your concrete floor with the epoxy ceiling. We had talked also making it, have something, obviously, if cleats, it's gotta be safe. So we would make that, of course, safe. The wall, it'd be the split face block, which would match the school. We would match the roof. I know the football, what do you call it, storage shed? Storage shed has shingled roof. I think that we would need tin roof just because it's closer to the school, Howard Ellis. The actual walkway is 10. The maintenance building is 10. Being that close in between them, I would say we would go with the 10. The block would match the existing exterior on the school. So, I mean, I think it would look phenomenal.
It looked like it belonged there
It
as
would look.
opposed to a eyesore
Yes,
that
sir.
you made it yellow or something.
I mean, yellow could be an option.
Yeah.
Put yellow. Mr. Williams has it.
I don't know the funding source, but if it's local funds and not a separate funding source, is there a thought, think bigger and maybe have 2 boys and 2 girls? Cause you got 4 sports right in that area: baseball, track, baseball, track, tennis, so that track could be in one to get dressed, soccer in another, and then that way it can be 2 separate, so you won't come back later and the track coach say, what about us? We dress out here too. So I don't know if it's one fund, but I don't know space. Maybe think bigger, so you can have 2 boys and 2 girls, because you do got tennis and track. Baseball may not be
And
concerned.
baseball's got their own.
Yeah, they may not be concerned, but just think to maybe, I don't know if you got funds for
Yeah,
it.
that's a good point, and I think the first step would be to engage a design professional to look at those things and interview the different coaches to see what their needs may be and make a proposal. Of course, that costs money to do that.
It does, but we're gonna have to do it right.
That's right.
You are right on the right track. Yes, sir, absolutely.
But
Thank you.
one would be better than nothing, but just
I
to
understand
think,
what you mean.
I know they're
Yeah.
thinking, hey, we just think, I'm thinking
Well,
big term.
we've actually taken other sports into consideration with the fact that we would have a calendar, right? So, because track doesn't run the same day we have a match, you can't. So we would have a calendar, so you would have track that would be able to use it. You can go to middle school soccer, or middle school track, they can use it, because we're never gonna be on the same field at the same time. The only competition, or you want to say competition, of the same time would be tennis, which is very infrequent, but that would be a concern that you could have. Then, that's for a later day, because you'd have to have different access points, because tennis isn't gonna wanna walk 30 miles around a fence, but, great options.
We think either would be, just whatever would be able to get us something. If it's with 2 boys, 2 girls, or 1, we don't mind sharing and doing. It's just giving us somewhere we can go and practice. We've already talked to track. Track said we wouldn't use it for practice because we're so in and out. We wouldn't want to have to go and unlock the door and open it every time. Because if you leave it unlocked, then there's no point in even having a locker room. So like that we've talked to them. They said game day would be their biggest. Throw your stuff in, lock it. In tennis, we never spoke to her just because we weren't sure. We just didn't think about that one.
Buckley's the architect now?
Yes, sir.
Do you think he will give you an idea what it would cost if you give him the rough dimensions to do the to do the study?
Preliminary, the
The
study.
preliminary
I can
study.
easily give him a holler and ask him for a reasonable guess,
Yeah,
and before he would put anything on paper and
Yeah.
start charging us. And
Yeah.
I think with the amount.
that's where we'd have an idea.
Yes, to give us a
Yeah.
Can
clue.
I ever ask a question?
Sure.
Did we do anything like that when we built the new, get your drinks, concession stands? Did we do anything as far as drawing or,
We did, and it was submitted to them, and they blessed it, but there wasn't any children that were going to use that. That's adults using that, and the children just come to the outside and pay.
Okay,
So the difference is the kids are not inside.
they're not supposed to be.
They're not
inside.
supposed to be inside, right? And it was something that they blessed based on, A, they saw the drawing, the students were building it, and it was
Yeah.
for adults to use as a concession stand, not a locker room or classroom.
So
that
who
was
is
the-
they? The
They
state?
being Buckley approving it with the state, yes. The
Okay.
state has to bless what Buckley does.
It'd have to be
Okay.
submitted to the State Board of
Correct.
Education for.
I was just trying to figure out how we got around that when we did the concession stand, both of them. So
You saying that, go ahead.
you go ahead.
My question was, you saying that you don't think track and soccer will ever overlap as far as,
Can't, well, they,
We can't have a match on the same day because of the same
Discus and-
field.
that would be detrimental.
Well, you can't, and by soccer rules, you're not allowed to have anyone behind the goal. You would have issues with whistles, and we'd never have a meet on the
so
same
if it
day.
was, even if it was, they'd be out of town. and-
Right, if they were home, we would have to play on the road, and vice versa. So like, we'll never have a game on the same day. Tennis and us could, because nothing we share
Yeah.
goes together.
I met with them and looked at the spot, looked at the site as far as the building. I don't know how much larger we can go in that area. That would be something to look at. I know that we have sewage right to the right of the Howard Ellis building, so that would be a place to tie that in. We do have a lot of electrical in that Howard Ellis building on that side as well. So that would be fine. Water's not a big issue because you can run water from there. It's gonna be pressurized anyway. The sewage was my concern, getting from that building to the sewage, but I think that's a possibility. We've got a hill there, that big mound, but we would have to do something. I mean, we just have to dig it to get it to that point. But as far as the location where it's at, to go much larger to do 2 boys, 2 girls, I don't know that that's a possibility. The opposite side of the
How about
house,
upstairs?
yeah, if you did a 2-story, yeah, that's a possibility. The left side of the Howard Ellis is really not a good setup. You gotta get sewage all the way to the other side. And you gotta get electrical all the way to the other side too, so. I think that is probably the best location, but, we need to let, architects look at it and tell us what they think as well. I looked at the drawings with Jeff. He brought the drawings out there so we could look and just see whether the sewage runs right down the center of the parking lot. And so it branches off over to the Howard Ellis building, and then there is a manhole right there to the right of that building, so. Any other question?
So this is a wish list moving forward, trying to get financial.
My question was, A, does the board want us to move forward? And if that's a yes, then I'll contact Mr. Buckley and ask him to give me a rough estimate without charging us for the rough estimate, just to give us a guess.
I think that's the
And
first
then
thing.
I'll bring it back and say, this is gonna cost $450 million, and we're all gonna say no unless Mr. Heitman pays for it. But other than that,
My man.
we'll get a number and go from there. I think that'll help us more with the finances.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
And I know this is preliminary, but have you talked with the Booster Club at all about the possibility of helping with the finances, or?
We haven't, we were just advised to wait and see what y'all said, and then we could reach out and go. I mean, we've had parents that said that they would help if needed. Like, we just wanted to wait, and we didn't want to get anybody's hopes up before anything was said to go forward. So we haven't brought it up to anybody.
Do you need a motion?
I would like a motion to move forward and talk to Mr. Buckley and see what the guesstimation of cost would be.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Heitman, second by Mr. Madison, all in favor?
Thank you.
Unanimous? Thank you, gentlemen.
We appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much.
Thank y'all
Thank
for what
you.
y'all do. Y'all gotta win the state though.
Girls got a shot.
They getting there.
They really do.
They are. The next thing on our agenda is the Board of Education meeting dates.
Computer's trying to catch up. Annually, we have to post and vote on the board meeting dates. And this year, it is the second Tuesday, of course, except in April, which would be in the way of Masters Week and spring break. So I've pushed it back 1 week to the 16th. And then the second one that is not the second week is July 16th. As you remember, in the past, the Gale Conference was always in the way. So I moved it back 1 week instead of requesting to move it, say, in May, which we have done in the past. It's just easier if we can do it up front and everybody can anticipate and know those dates. So that's why those two are different, but the rest of them are the second Tuesdays.
Any questions about those dates?
What about the guitar pool?
I was thinking about grandchildren's birthdays.
Yeah. And the fishing trip.
It didn't even hear you.
Okay. Well, all right. I just want to, darn.
We need to adjust one, now's the time.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Heitman, second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank y'all.
You might want to go there.
All right, the next item is to elect the chairperson. And I spoke with Mr. Madison about continuing to be the vice chairman. And if anybody wants to battle him with that position, can. If not, I need a motion to
I'll make a
accept.
motion to accept.
Have a motion by Mr. Heitman to accept Mr. Madison, second by Mr. Mongrove. Accept him as the vice chairman. All in favor?
I
Thank
vote
you.
against myself.
You can.
4-1.
4-1. That,
This next one's tricky, you know.
yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. For some reason I was thinking that was what Dylan was doing, that's not. Yeah. The next thing is a teacher and support staff retention supplements.
Yeah, Dylan is part of this as well, of course. But I think everybody remembers on December 18th, 2023, Governor Kemp announced a $1,000 retention supplement for all employees listed on the CPI that we receive QBE funds for. This retention supplement is funded through QBE funds. The funds were received by Lincoln County Schools on the 29th of December. We received $161,342. This is $55,406.66 short of the total amount necessary to meet the retention supplements designated by the governor. Now, as you turn to page 2 identifies how this is funded. We all know that there's always benefits involved. There is no TRS in this. I don't want to confuse anybody. There's no TRS. This does not stay on the salary schedule. This is a one-time supplement. But you can see that we have 2 employees that are 25% employees. We have 6 employees that are 49%. They would receive 25% of the $1,000 or 49% of the $1,000 as they work that amount. So that's the amount of employees and how it would be funded. Again, on the bottom, the amount necessary to fund for everybody to receive it, as we have done in the past with different supplements that have been received from the governor or the state government. We have funded those differences. Now, that amount would be $55,406.66. The next sheet identifies how it was funded in an overall. We received this from Governor Kemp's office. And you can see what was identified, what is non-QBE, such as a school nurse, ag ed, technology ed, nutrition workers, custodians. Those are not QBE funds. So those are the types of people that we have to cover. And again, it's $55,406. Now, we received, as Dylan told us last month, we received our impact aid of $244,295 on 12/12/23, which was our last meeting. That's our impact aid for the year. We don't budget for that because we're never positive we're going to get it. However, we got it this year. Within this budget year, we also received for 2022, a final payment, as they call it, of $24,902. We received that on 10/3 of '23. And on 11/17 of '23, we received the 2023 final payment of $25,881. So that gets you very, very close to $300,000 in impact aid when you add all of those up. And again, I am recommending, so that everyone receives the $1,000 from the governor as it's designed, to pull the $55,406.66 from the impact aid to make up the difference. And again, the reason they don't do that, they're only paying through QBE funds. Dylan, do you need to add anything to what I just said to help make this more understandable for the community?
Not unless there's questions.
Okay.
So you're saying that the 2022 final payment of $24,902 and the 2023 final payment of $25,881, that has nothing to do with what we just received, the $244.
That's correct.
So we got right at a little over $50,000 with the 25 and the,
That's correct.
with the, okay.
Right. And that's in
Besides-
this budget, because it was October and November we received those.
Right,
And then in December, we received the $244,295, which is our normal payment.
right.
And then sometime next year, we'll receive a final payment. How much that'll be, we don't know.
So these two figures from 2022 and 2023 then is totaling within 4,000 some change of what you're proposing.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Questions?
If we don't fund the 55,400,
Yes, sir.
what happens?
Well, there'd be people that wouldn't get paid.
That's what I'm,
Yes,
that's what I'm
there'd be people that wouldn't get
Some
paid.
would get it and some wouldn't.
That's correct, and that's never a positive thing for those that don't. And those that do usually smile, but those that don't are not gonna be happy, and that
doesn't work
creates.
real well.
And you said we cannot take the total amount and divide it by the number of people.
That's correct. There was a district in Atlanta, and I'm not gonna throw the district under the bus, I think that was done in the news well enough. But there was a district in Atlanta that had budgeted for $1,000 payment or supplement in December. And that district made the statement that since we already budgeted for one, we're gonna take what the governor's getting it and throw it in our general fund. And the governor and the state superintendent contacted that superintendent and recommended it was in their best interest to do what was designed, because this money is allotted for that, and that's how it has to be spent. So the secret is, they allotted it for this, we have to spend it that way.
But we would be spending the money. We would not be putting it in a fund. We would be taking what they're sending us and dividing it by the number of teachers.
It's designed for the $1,000. We're not
It
supposed to
has
do
to
that.
be paid based on, it has to include everybody that he covered.
Right. As a
So
salary.
we'd basically be paying certified only and everybody else.
You scroll back
No.
up to that sheet.
Well, we got extra teachers.
Yeah, so you
Right.
Well, that's right.
Staff,
explain the QBE and then how many
I just
more.
want the public to
Yes.
understand that.
I'm with you.
Right.
Read, I would say read that one. It does include people beyond certified teachers, but not all.
But not everybody.
Right. It doesn't include everybody.
So we would be paying the ones covered and everybody else would be left out.
Right. As an example, the high school has an extra CTAE teacher that wouldn't be included in here. We would want them to get paid just like all the other CTAE teachers. In the accounting department, that pays for one person, there's actually 3 in our central office accounting. 2 of those wouldn't get paid. Now, the girls that vote against you, Dylan, you probably wouldn't get paid out of this, but that's the way it
I'll
was.
probably give it up to keep the
How would you
help.
make the decision of who got paid and who didn't?
So Dylan, how do they decide who gets allotted $1,000 plus they also pay the Social Security and the TVA,
The Medicare.
the Medicare, okay, Medicare. So they actually pay $1,000 plus those two benefits to $140 roughly?
Roughly. So they covered custodians again. Custodians just got a supplement in September. They covered bus drivers, nutrition employees, and nurses. but then they only paid off QBE for everything else. So let's say in kindergarten, we have 4 teachers, but we only earn 3.8 teachers. They only paid us for the 3.8.
In the QBE, what does that stand for?
Quality basic education.
Okay, yeah, I'm going back to the basics so that the people that are listening understand what's going on. Because we raised taxes and now we're having to spend money to give everybody a raise, a one-time raise, which we want to do. So we got paid for 140 teachers, and we got 207 employees, I'm sorry.
Correct. There's like an extra 60 that were not funded.
Okay.
But they paid us for something, so we have 19 employees that we do not pay Social Security for. Back, I don't know when the opt-out was, but they opted out, and the state funded us for those either way. So that money would be split between, the others. That would come off of the local. Local would save money there.
It's real hard to explain.
And our part-time
understand.
employees would receive, part-time teachers as an example, we have 2 that work 25%. And we have,
And that's on the screen here,
Yeah.
that second screen.
Second page,
It kind of explains exactly what the,
right, and
Formula
6,
is-
we have 6 49%ers. Well, they would receive 49% of the $1,000, and the 25%ers would receive 25% of the $1,000. But that's not part of what QBE would do, so we gotta cover that. Those are all part of the things that you have to make up the difference as they identify off of QBE.
But nobody's gonna be upset with Brian Kemp, they're gonna be upset with us.
Unfortunately, he's gonna get a thank you.
Exactly.
But the money that you're spending, as you identified, what is the impact aid if you use my recommendation? You don't have to, but in my recommendation, you'd be spending the 2 final payments from 22 and 23 of QBE that we don't budget for anyway.
it's not budgeted.
That is not budgeted income or revenue, using Dylan's term, that we would budget for. We don't plan on that at all.
It would cover this cost.
Yes, sir.
And we'd still have 240-some
You
thousand.
still have 200, right.
So that's what's in our mind. We got to hold that money back.
That's correct.
Put it in that 5 1/4 earnest bearing, whatever. Right,
6 months will cover this payment.
that's right.
Georgia Fund 1.
We're back on the right track, fellas, and ladies. I'll make a motion to approve it as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Heitman, second by Mr. Monroe. All in favor? Unanimous?
Thank y'all. Understand how you couldn't do that.
The next thing is the policies for review.
We have 2 policies for review. The first one is the agenda, which is BCBD, and it is fine the way it is written. And the second one is JBCB, which is non-resident students, and it is fine the way it is written. They are both for review.
Have we seen any more non-resident students lately?
Not that I'm aware of
We
lately.
hadn't approved any, but I don't know.
Not that I'm aware of. Most of those hit May, June, sometimes July, but mostly May, June.
All right, our next item is superintendent's report.
I have just one item so that everybody is understanding that I have jumped through all of the legal hoops and done it correctly. When we had a board member that decided to build a house and move, he had to depart his position, which gave us the joy of getting Ms. Daniel, but there's legal things that I have to do. So I have to notify our board attorney. The board attorney notifies the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State notifies Leighton Taylor. All of those things have to happen. So it worked because all those people were here, but I wanted to show the board the letter from the attorney to identify that all of that was done in the appropriate time, and on top of that, identify the term, in case you were not positive, the term of the 1 year that you served. Now, if you're interested in serving longer, you would have to qualify and run in the election that is in May.
Okay.
Qualifying is in March.
Okay.
So if you have interest in that, like I told you on the phone, I'd be more than happy to show you what to do and how to do it. But if you don't have interest, then it would be for just a year.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's all for my superintendent's report, sir.
Okay. I need a motion to go into executive session.
Got
By Mr. Madison, second by Mr. Munger. I would like to call the January meeting back to order. The superintendent is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Katherine Johnson as a substitute teacher for the 23-24 school year. Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. Superintendent is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Lon Frost as a full-time bus driver. Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. Superintendent is recommended, and I make a motion that we accept the resignation of Breanne Tankersley effective January 3rd, 24. Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. And I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Madison.
We get
Motion to
paid
adjourn,
extra,
second
don't
by Ms.
we?
Hyde.
Don't we get paid extra
Second,
for
okay.
making the motion?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Second.
Every time you're ready.
Thank you.
I'm gonna double you up tonight.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.